I lost everything when my wife labeled me as dangerous in the court. 3 years later, my daughter found the truth in our attic. I, 35M, never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get it off my chest. 3 years ago, my life imploded when my wife accused me of being dangerous and unstable during our divorce proceedings. The court believed her, and I lost custody of our daughter. I was only allowed supervised visits twice a month. The worst part? Everyone in our small community turned against me. My former in-laws, who once treated me like their own son, now crossed the street when they saw me coming. Friends stopped returning my calls. Even my own sister questioned if she really knew me. The accusations were absurd, that I had violent outbursts, that I threatened my wife, that I was mentally unstable. But my wife's tears in court were convincing. Her lawyer painted a picture of a man who had slowly become unpredictable and dangerous over the course of our marriage. They even brought up how I'd punched a wall during an argument 10 years ago when we were still dating. One moment of frustration from my early 20s was twisted into evidence of a pattern of violence. I lost everything. My home, my reputation, most of my savings to legal fees, and worst of all, my relationship with my daughter. She was only 7 when it happened, too young to understand why Daddy could only see her with a supervisor present. The look in her eyes during those visits, confusion mixed with fear, it killed me every time. I moved to a small apartment on the other side of town and threw myself into my work as a software developer. Working remotely meant I could avoid the whispers and stares. My only regular contact was with my therapist, who helped me process the anger and grief without letting it consume me. Then last month, my daughter, now 10, did something that changed everything. She was helping her mom clean out the attic of our old house when she found an old laptop. Being a curious kid, she turned it on. What she discovered on that laptop shattered the carefully constructed narrative my ex-wife had built. The laptop contained footage from our home security cameras I'd installed after a break-in scare in our neighborhood. I'd forgotten about them in the chaos of the divorce. But there they were, silently recording everything for months before our separation. When my daughter clicked on those files, she saw something that made her question everything she'd been told about me. The footage showed the truth about those violent outbursts. They never happened. Instead, it showed countless normal days, peaceful evenings, and yes, some arguments, but nothing like what had been described in court. But what really caught her attention was a series of clips from the weeks leading up to our separation. She saw her mother having intense conversations with someone on the phone, always when she thought no one was around. In one clip, she clearly heard her mom say, "No, he doesn't suspect anything. Just make sure everything is ready." My daughter, smart beyond her years, copied the files onto a USB drive she used for school. She didn't tell her mother what she'd found. Instead, she waited for our next supervised visit and slipped me the drive when the supervisor wasn't looking. That night, I stayed up until dawn reviewing the footage. Hours and hours of video that proved I wasn't the monster I'd been made out to be. But more than that, they revealed something I hadn't been able to prove. My ex-wife had planned everything. The separation, the accusations, all of it was orchestrated months in advance. The most damning clip was from 3 days before she filed for divorce. She was in our bedroom, talking to someone on speakerphone. "The lawyer says we need more than just my word. We need to make him look unstable. Yes, I know it's wrong, but I need full custody. You know why?" That "you know why" echoed in my head. What reason could justify destroying someone's life like this? I watched more footage, looking for clues, and slowly, a pattern emerged. Regular calls to an unknown number. Hushed conversations. Suspicious bank transfers I'd noticed, but dismissed at the time. Now I sit here, USB drive in hand, wondering what to do next. The footage proves my innocence, but it also raises disturbing questions about what my ex-wife was really hiding. Why did she need me out of the picture so completely? What was worth destroying her daughter's relationship with her father? I've contacted my lawyer, but before I proceed, I need to be sure I'm not missing anything. The stakes are too high to rush in without understanding the full picture. My daughter deserves to know the truth, but I worry about how this revelation will affect her. She's already dealing with the trauma of our broken family. How will she handle learning that one parent systematically destroyed the other? Tomorrow, I'm meeting with my lawyer to review the footage. But tonight, I'm sharing this here because I need perspective. Have any of you dealt with something similar? How do you protect your child while pursuing the truth? Update. The meeting with my lawyer yesterday changed everything. As we reviewed the footage together, she noticed something I'd missed. In several clips, my ex-wife was reviewing documents that looked like bank statements, but they weren't from our joint account. The papers had an offshore bank's logo. My lawyer hired a forensic accountant, and what he found sent chills down my spine. In the months before our divorce, large sums of money were being moved through a series of shell companies. The transactions were carefully hidden, but they all traced back to an account in the Cayman Islands. An account that was opened by my ex-wife's brother. Here's where it gets complicated. My former brother-in-law worked, for a major investment firm. I say worked because when I Googled him yesterday, I found articles about how he left the firm suddenly 3 years ago, right after my divorce. The official story was that he resigned to pursue other opportunities, but my lawyer discovered he's been under investigation by the SEC for the past 4 years. The pieces started falling into place. The desperate need for full custody, the character assassination, the rush to finish the divorce. It wasn't about me at all. She needed me completely out of the picture because I could have been called as a witness. As her husband, I might have been questioned about her brother's activities or noticed suspicious patterns in our finances. I was collateral damage in a much bigger scheme. My lawyer advised me to be careful about how we proceed. If my ex-wife and her brother were involved in financial fraud, they won't take kindly to being exposed. We need solid evidence before we make any moves. But then something happened that forced our hand. My daughter called me last night, crying. She'd overheard her mom on the phone, talking about selling our old house and moving across the country. For a fresh start, she'd said. I couldn't let that happen. Not when we were so close to uncovering the truth. My lawyer helped me file an emergency motion this morning, using the security footage as evidence. The judge reviewed it immediately, given the circumstances. The hearing was set for this afternoon. Walking into that courtroom felt surreal. The same room where I'd been branded dangerous 3 years ago. But this time, I had truth on my side. My ex-wife's face when we played the footage, I'll never forget it. The color drained from her face as her own words echoed through the courtroom. The lawyer says we need more than just my word. We need to make him look unstable. Her lawyer tried to object, claiming the recordings were obtained illegally. But my lawyer was prepared. The security system was registered in my name, installed with my ex-wife's knowledge and consent. The footage was admissible. Then we presented the financial evidence. The offshore accounts. The suspicious transfers. The timing of everything. My ex-wife's carefully crafted image crumbled as the judge connected the dots. The hearing lasted 4 hours. By the end, the judge was furious. He immediately suspended my ex-wife's custody and granted me temporary full custody, pending a full investigation. The look my daughter gave me as she ran into my arms, pure relief and love, made the past 3 years of hell worth it. But we're not done. The SEC has been notified about the new evidence. My lawyer says they're particularly interested in the timeline we've constructed. Apparently, my ex-wife's brother's scheme was bigger than anyone realized. As I write this, my daughter is asleep in her old room in my apartment. I ordered a pizza for dinner, her favorite, with extra cheese, and we talked. Really talked, for the first time in years. She told me she'd always felt something was wrong with the stories she'd been told about me, but couldn't understand what. Finding that laptop confirmed what her heart had known all along. She also told me something that broke my heart. Over the past 3 years, she'd kept a secret diary where she wrote letters to me. The real me, not the monster she'd been told I was. She showed it to me tonight. Pages and pages of Dear Dad entries, telling me about her day, her fears, her hopes. She never stopped believing in me, even when everyone else did. But now we face a new challenge. The investigation into her uncle's activities is gaining momentum, and my ex-wife's involvement is becoming clearer. My daughter will have to process the fact that her mother's deception went far beyond just our divorce. How do you help a child cope with something like that? Final update. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and the situation has evolved in ways I never expected. The SEC investigation into my former brother-in-law has uncovered a massive investment fraud scheme. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, with dozens of victims. My ex-wife wasn't just covering for him. She was actively involved, using our joint accounts to help launder money. The morning after my last post, FBI agents showed up at my ex-wife's house with a search warrant. They seized computers, documents, and phones. My daughter was with me, thankfully, but she saw the news coverage. It's hard to shield a kid from reality when their mother's arrest makes local headlines. The hardest conversation of my life wasn't in court or with lawyers. It was sitting down with my daughter to explain what money laundering means, what fraud is, and why good people sometimes make terrible choices. She asked questions I wasn't prepared for. Did Mom ever really love us? Was everything about our family fake? I tried to be honest while still being age-appropriate. Yes, her mom loved her. No, not everything was fake. People can love their families and still do wrong things. The world isn't split into purely good and purely bad people. Sometimes people we love make mistakes that hurt everyone around them. The investigation revealed something that made me question everything about our marriage. The scheme didn't start 3 years ago. It had been going on for nearly 7 years. That means almost half of our marriage was built on lies. Every family vacation, Every Christmas morning, every quiet Sunday breakfast. While all that was happening, my ex-wife was helping steal people's life savings. My daughter has been incredibly resilient, but I know she's struggling. She started seeing a child psychologist who specializes in family trauma. Yesterday, she told me something that broke my heart all over again. She'd always blamed herself for our divorce, thinking if she'd been a better kid, maybe I wouldn't have become dangerous. Learning the truth lifted that burden, but replaced it with a different kind of pain. The community that once shunned me has done a complete 180. Suddenly, everyone wants to apologize, to make amends. Former friends send messages saying they always had doubts about the accusations. My sister showed up at my door in tears, begging forgiveness for doubting me. It's validating, but also frustrating. Where was this support 3 years ago? The prosecutor handling the fraud case met with me yesterday. They've offered my ex-wife a deal in exchange for testifying against her brother, who they believe was the mastermind. She's probably going to take it, but she's still looking at significant prison time. The prosecutor asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement at her sentencing. I'm still undecided. My daughter asked if she could read her diary entries in court, all those letters she wrote to me over the years. The prosecutor said it would be powerful testimony about the human cost of what they did, but I'm worried it might be too traumatic for her. She's only 10, and despite her maturity in handling all this, she's still just a kid. Yesterday, as we were going through boxes of her stuff from her mom's house, my daughter found her old teddy bear, the one I gave her on her 5th birthday. She hugged it tight and asked, "Dad, are we going to be okay?" I told her the truth. We are okay. Right now, in this moment, we're together and we're okay. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges, but we'll face them together. The past 3 years taught me that sometimes life falls apart, so it can come back together stronger. To everyone who offered support and advice on my previous posts, thank you. You helped me stay focused on what matters most, being there for my daughter as we rebuild our life together. Every day isn't perfect, but it's real. No more lies, no more hidden agendas, just a father and daughter learning to trust and love again. And to anyone else going through something similar, don't give up. The truth has a way of coming out, even if it takes years. Document everything. Keep fighting. Sometimes justice comes from unexpected places, like a curious 10-year-old finding an old laptop in an attic. My lawyer says the civil suits and criminal cases could drag on for years, but I'm not worried about that. My focus is on healing, both my daughter's and my own. We're in therapy, both individually and together. We're learning to talk about hard things, to trust again, to believe in family even after ours was broken. Last night, my daughter asked if we could start a new tradition, father-daughter pizza and movie nights every Friday. As we sat there watching her favorite film, with her curled up next to me just like she used to years ago, I realized something. Sometimes losing everything helps you find what really matters.